What up? What up? A little bit more comfortable today. Trying to get things wrapped up and into the can here, and so I figured I'd be a little bit more comfortable with this week. And I know that last week was a little crazy with all the weather stuff, and we missed talking on Thursday. And of course, I goofed with not giving you a real Friday the 13th thing, so I had to send out another announcement about that. But hey, such is life. But we are in the home stretch, ladies and gentlemen. It is last a little bit. So I encourage you to push through and do what you got to do to make things work for you and for all the stuff. I know that quite a few more COVID-19 cases in our area, and so please stay safe. Please make sure that we are doing everything we can, washing our hands, putting a mask on, doing what you need to do. Being safe around your family and friends and that kind of stuff. Doesn't mean we don't live life, but we also have to make sure that we're protected. So that's just part of the process that we go through. So let's talk about this week. This week we're ending. Oh, well, let me get to this. We're ending with the Industrial Revolution and the impacts. So this is our last day of Unit 7, and we'll be just finishing out with a quiz. Shouldn't be much for you to do. I know there's a lot of blue here. I know there's a lot of links here, but really the big picture here is that I'm giving you options and resources to be able to utilize, and that really is my goal in this is to do the rabbit trail learning like we've talked about before of, hey, that's really kind of interesting. Let me open that up. You don't have to watch the whole thing, but definitely something to help. Just a note on this attendance quiz, when you open up the philosophies, or I'm sorry, the effects of the Industrial Revolution, it's going to have a lot of pictures, and then in the notes section where the comments are, it'll have some information about that. So that's kind of where you will need to get the information for your attendance assignment. All right. On Tuesday, we're going to be starting the World War One, Russian Revolution, and into war period. Now, here's the deal with world history, right? We've talked about World War One and World War Two from the American perspective. So I'm really trying to not focus on the American side of things. Now, obviously, we have to talk about America in the idea that we went over to the Europe and helped them out in different pieces and parts. But really, the big picture is I don't want to focus on America involvement. Now, because it involved most of Europe, then we actually have to talk about a lot of European stuff in here. So that's why you see the Crash Course European History stuff. But the Russian Revolution was huge because you had the Bolsheviks and the Communist Revolution. This is where Karl Marx and Engels' idea of the Communist Manifesto really becomes a big part. And we've got Joseph Stalin, Lenin, all those guys come about in this time period. And unfortunately, there's some pretty major issues that take place and a lot of death that happened during this time period, which we really don't hear a lot about. But unfortunately, there is quite a few. And then you've got a lot of stuff going on in Asia after World War One. Now, of course, during this time, we also have the panic of the worldwide panic with the Depression, and we also have the Spanish flu, right? That kills 1/10 of the world's population. It's pretty drastic, pretty crazy, and unfortunately similar to some of the stuff we've got today of the COVID. So just kind of an interesting little side note to that. And we talked about that last year at the end of the year when we talked about the Spanish flu and that kind of stuff. So Wednesday, we're going to be continuing that middle part leading up to World War II and dealing with the start of the Holocaust or Kristallnacht, and the concept of appeasement, basically the big bully that says, hey, I'm going to take over, and well, okay, we'll let you, but then the bully takes more. And then talking about the genocides and how that all in works within our time period that we're talking about. All right, so again, this is also a quiz. So you got 3 quizzes in a row. Knock them out, get them done. We will talk about them in class a little bit more as well. Now, Thursday, we're going to be actually talking about World War II, but really, again, we're not really focusing on the battle. This is kind of boring. But the biggest thing is living through the experiences, right? History is about people and their experiences. And so what I thought on this one that we do is really focus not so much on the presentations, but focus kind of on different histories and people. So here's the attendance assignment for that day. So you're going to choose one of the documents from the list below. And so there's some kind of interesting little titles here. It's like two times atom bomb survivor. What is that about? Dory Miller. You might recognize Dory Miller because we've talked about them or talked about him and his contribution during Pearl Harbor. And then, of course, the group stories. There's several different groups that we've talked about before. Actually, one of those we haven't talked about, and I encourage you to open up all of them and just hit the highlights, look at it. But find one from that list that you really kind of like, and then I want you to list at least 3 interesting facts about the topic you chose. Okay, so that's, I try to do voice and choice, give you some options and opportunities to do that kind of stuff. On Friday, you notice there's a lot of stuff, more than I usually give on Friday, but the reason is because I want you to kind of think about some of the interesting things that happen afterwards, and one of those is the Nuremberg trials. And the Nuremberg trials really prosecutes war crimes, right? And this is where we have a lot of the focus on what is a war crime, what is genocide, how, what are certain things that we have to, as a nation, country, world, never do again. And so this is an interesting document that actually provides both the defense and the prosecution of certain war criminals in Germany specifically. And I want you to know, not all these they were actually put to death. Some of them were just given certain amount of sentences, and it's kind of interesting. So if you want to know, this is your challenge. If you want to know who got the death penalty and who didn't, look up each one of them and just find out. So it's kind of interesting. Now, the Nanking massacre actually happens in China by the Japanese before World War II starts. This is when we're talking about the Manchuria. They invade into Manchuria and they go up into China area. And there's Tokyo trials. This is kind of similar to our Nuremberg trials that talk about prosecuting war criminals in Japan. And I got to tell you guys, some of the things that the Japanese government did, pretty atrocious, pretty crazy. But just wanted to bring it out. Now, there's another one that I wanted to actually bring up because it's an interesting one because it's actually talking about when America went into Japan, when it basically conquered Japan, right? There was a military occupation that was set up, almost similar to after World War, the Civil War, where the North set up military zones in the South. Well, they had the same thing, and it's kind of an interesting thing that happens. There was a constitution that was drawn up, and some of the constitution stuff, they actually had to make posters, and the Army Corps of Engineer, I believe, and they made posters about and distributed them in Japan about what was previous. So this is a previous that they had to bow and go before any government official, but now this is what's acceptable. And right, you can see this is from the National Archives. This is actual posters that were distributed during the after World War II. And here's another one. It talks about how it was with economics before and how it should be now. Here's a couple of other ways in which people had to respect their elders and men specifically, and now women could be equal with men. And this is kind of a new thing to a lot of the Japanese individuals, right? And you have this one right here is they are the leaders, and these are the people, and set up in areas where they're told what to do. This is more of a group thing. This is a religion, dealing with religion, the Shinto religion, and now you have options. You have your own choices. This is who is the hierarchy of individuals. Obviously, women, unfortunately, and the lower class were were not given equal rights, whereas now you have equal rights for people. Again, it's kind of interesting, some of the posters there. So I just brought that out because I thought it was cool. So here is also your attendance assignment. So you guys know that I'm a big Disney fan, especially cartoons. And I've always enjoyed the fact that the creators tried to kind of incorporate some idea of history, although very, very often it's historically inaccurate, right? But these movies do actually provide an opportunity for people to go, huh? So it's kind of, for me with my daughters, I'm able to say, well, honey, you realize this is not true, but there were some things that this time period is talking about that were true, and I can, give them a Dr. T rant, and hey, they love it. So well, okay, maybe not love it, but they listen to it most of the time. So this is a video talking about this mental floss, and actually a John Green video, but he does a good job with talking about historical inaccuracies of Disney movies. So watch the movie, or the show real quick, and then open up these websites. So they're really kind of interesting, talking about all kinds of Disney movies, and both historical inaccuracies and some accuracies in this. One of my favorite that I was dealing with was historically accurate Disney princess stories, and not necessarily fully accurate as far as the directly, but the idea, the concepts, the time period that they're talking about. So it's kind of a fun one. And then, so all I want you to do is list 3 things you learn about history from a Disney movie. Make sure you identify the movie you used. So hopefully this will be a kind of a fun one to do for this week. And I'm just trying to give you some positive things. Now remember, after this week, we have basically 3 days before Thanksgiving. And let's just be honest, I'm going to give you like 2 days worth of assignments, and I'm going to say, hey, the third one is out. But just something fun. It's a history and challenge, and maybe we'll talk about turkeys or something. But you got 3 days there, and then the following week you got a full week of basically we're going to zoom through the last 2 units. We're going to, because a lot of these things are really things that we've already talked about. So we've got the Cold War, time period, and then we've got kind of globalization things that are going on now today, within history. And then that the last week, you also got another 3 days, and that's going to be your final test. That's going to be a teacher made. That's going to be me, and this is going to be something that you're going to do in class, or during your time period, and we'll do some review, do some test stuff, and then that Thursday and Friday. You're going to start your EOC, whatever EOC you have. And we have to kind of spread it out like almost a full week and a half doing EOCs, just because of time. So that's I know a longer video, but I just wanted to give you the heads up. It's going to fly by and go very quickly. So just wanted to kind of let you know all that, and go from there. All right. So if you have any questions, make sure you email me, and we'll go from there. Take care, guys. Bye.